Look at this beautiful man. Look at this beautiful specimen of a fantasy player. 106 points, and he's now at a whopping 90 average across the first 3 weeks. If you owned him last week, you were cheering. If you captained him, you just straight up had a good week this week, especially considering that Nathan Cleary banged his head and got 101 points less than that. I'm sorry, guys. I benched him. I made him upset with us. It's my fault. But yeah, it was really who you captained last week. And I ended up benefiting pretty well, 879. I think I'm a little disappointed with that considering I captained Haas with the sheer volume of 30s and 20s in my team, even sub 20s. So I think I need to get a wing fullback this week to fix up this little bit of a problem. Ruben Garrick really hurt me as well last week. I nearly scored as much as Haas and took me from, well, about a 3,000 rank or a 2,000 rank to bang out a 6,002. Start this week. So I have my 4 that are out, but I have Payne Haas. I don't really need to do anything. My Watson trade, yeah, that was the one I was making. I thought Jaden Campbell would fit my team better. It didn't work, unfortunately. Unluckily, Watson got injured. And now I have to decide, do I want to play all these guys this week? Do I want to play all these really... Some of these have pretty low floors. They have great ceilings, most of them, except, well, Iongi so far. Do I want to risk playing just a straight 17, especially with some of these weak players? That is the kicker for this week. Because now we have Hubner, Watson and Cleary, the vast majority of us. And if you have any Knights on top of that, bang, you're in a lot of trouble. So I think that the only trade I'll look to make this week is possibly Watson to JC, which is sideways as it comes. But he's not playing. I need points, and Campbell's good. Watson's dented his price rises. My thoughts on that are Nat Butcher's back, Lindsay Collins is back. And by the time Connor Watson's back, maybe he's not quite playing 80 anymore, and I can get away with not having him. I've wasted a trade, obviously, onto him at this point. If I do trade it back out, but how am I going to fix my wing fullback and my centers at this point? It's really, really tough situation, and it's the time of year that I kind of want to go for those type of plays. If I was confident that Harry Grant wouldn't bounce back, Grant would go instead of Watson, because Mumzulis has been a fantastic scorer to start this year, and to be honest, look at that. This bro is outscoring Grant by 10 points, which hurts my heart, but that's how fantasy works sometimes. That's really all is on my mind at the moment. Nothing else is really going too wrong or upsetting me too much. Fish low minutes, but still scoring 50s. Horse is good. Seyfarth finally got some points. White good. There's a few low ones, but what can you do? So chuck down in the comments whether you think I should sell Watson or not, because I'm not selling Cleary. That's just a dud move. Watson or Grant to Campbell or hold, I reckon. It's a week of carnage, but honestly, I might even just have to end up holding and play some of these guys and cross my fingers for a good score. Not everybody benefited from the Haas, though, unfortunately. So I've moved up to 6th, I think. Yeah, 6th overall with some big scores last week and a couple of lower ones. Jay-Z from the Echo Chamber, unfortunately, did captain Cleary, lost out on 100 points there. We saw Mitch score 840 with Terrell May captain, so very well done to him. And another Echo Chamber member moving up here, well done to Bryce. There's some movement though. We've got Jamie sitting around here, not moving too much. But yeah, some lower scores down here from these guys who unfortunately did not captain Payne Haas. And who was the top scorer this week? It looks like it was. Full credit to the boys. If you end up watching this, can you, and you are part of this league, can you please chuck your tag in here? Because sometimes I can't tell who's from which podcast. Josh H. I'm going to get roasted for this probably, but yeah. Well done to Mitch. Well done, Nick from DGens. And I'm sure the others will pop up as we continue to move through the season. Anyway, let's go and have a look at these team lists, hey? Not too much going on, I suppose. Big thing here is, well, no Cleary. Has that affect Jack Cole? I can't remember how many kick meters Trent Tolau gets off the top of my head, so I'm going to look it up. Now, I know he's very highly rated coming through the system. Ooh, they've made it really nice and pretty now. That's cool. So it does look like he can kick a fair bit. But, yeah, probably wouldn't expect as much as Cleary, obviously. So I would imagine that we may see an improvement from Jack Cole to, well, he had 36 last week with a couple hundred kick meters. I think we can probably expect a 30 plus again from him, just doing a little bit more with another rookie half there. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a late switch with like a Tulagi though, given that, well, he's finally there and Penrith have signed him, but we'll wait and see how that goes. Team list side, Campbell Graham's out for Souths as well. I think that is going to hurt them defensively a little bit. We may see Paul Alamotti do some more tackle busting on the wing. He's done well on the wing. Look at this pairing. That's got to be one of the most damaging wing pairings in the entire competition. They just are so strong, those two. So yeah. Also, Liam Henry watch his price, watch his minutes as he goes through the year, because during Origin, he'll be fantastic. On this side, we end up having no Keanu Keeney. I think he has an uncertain neck injury. He's going for a specialist consultant. And whenever you hear the word specialist put next to footy player, you're probably pretty confident it's not minor. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's out for 2+, 4+ weeks. Sort of a thing. Hopefully it's not much, but that's going to be interesting to see how it affects Brimo and Campbell. Maybe it's good for Brimson. It'll force him to run a little bit more because, yeah, he hasn't been doing a lot. If you're a Brimson owner, I think he's a good pathway in a double trade to Haas, like him plus you need some cash probably to move it. You might do like a Brimson and a Gilbert might work. I mean, they're two guys you probably wouldn't necessarily want to trade out just yet, especially Gilbert, but I mean, it's Payne Haas. What do we expect Payne Haas to actually average? That's probably the question on our minds. Let's go and actually have a look at this human wrecking ball and see what we can figure out. So the last few years, he's averaged around or just over a point a minute, 60 minutes for low to mid-60s. Tackle numbers, lots of run meters, some offloading, some tackle breaking, 23, 22, similar, not quite as high PPM. 2024, similar again. If you take out that injury game, he pops up to, about a mid-60s average and low 60 minutes. Tackle breaks a little bit higher there, offloads a little low. Let's now move that to 2025. Tackle numbers are normal looking. Run meters are kind of normal looking. They're still big. But look at this. 7 and 5. This bloke is doing his same role, but he looks incredible this year. He's staying on the field for, really not quite a known amount of minutes yet. I'd expect that he gets around the 60-minute mark, maybe 55 minutes in a lot of games, but the close ones he'll stay on for longer, like this Cows one that was only put to bed by his try at the end. but he's running at guys on the edge a little bit more. That's helping his tackle breaks, and he's turning around to offload the ball just that extra bit more. So really, there's not a lot of difference. Similar base. You're just looking at the new attack that he's getting, moving on into that against those edge players and looking to move that ball around. And it looks deliberate. He's kept it up for those 3 games, and he's showing that that's what he's trying to go for. I therefore think that we can take that 60, 65 average and just add 5 or 10 points to that. I'm very happy to say that if Payne Haas is going to look like he does every week and pass the eye test and just look a level above what he's even been before, he's going to average 70. Could average 75. He could be the top averaging scorer this year over Cleary. He's just... My thoughts on the Payne Haas situation are that sometimes players have special seasons, like Ben Barber 2012, Jared Hayne with the Eels, Turbo 2021. Sometimes players just have something about them, and you have to get on, you're left behind. I think this is probably a similar situation. He's priced at 70 already, but I still think he can average that. Yeah, he'll drop back from 90, obviously. Like, that's insane numbers. But look at the way he's making those. He's not really slowing down. Yeah, it's only a 3-game sample, but look at him repeat that. Very similar type stuff in each of those games, apart from, well, low tackles in the Roosters game where they absolutely destroyed them. The way he's scoring and the way he's playing indicates to me that he can score 70 to 75, and you don't want to miss out on that. If you have to absolutely destroy your team to do it, you might have to death ride him at this point because he's 150k more than the next highest price, as in Trell, who's not even playing, and Yo, who's now 798. But if there is a pathway at all to get to him, like a Gilbert and a Brimson, or even like a Watson plus cash or Watson plus somebody, maybe. Like, I don't want you to go out and suddenly take 2 good cash makers out to get Payne Haas in. He's not going to make money from here season long. He's going to score better than everybody. Maybe Cleary will come back and average the same as him or similar to him and Hurts, but you want this bloke in your team. If there is a way that makes sense for you to get him, you just get him this week. That is my thoughts on this. Some people say it's too much, it's too far, too expensive. But look at the way he's playing. Look at what he's doing. Yeah, it's 3-game sample size, but that eye test is the biggest tick I've ever seen, basically. It looks amazing. Anyway, that's enough about Big Payne. He's great. The end. Let's look at this Titans team now. I really like Campbell. Campbell scored 81. It was a great game for him against the Knights, a very open style game where he could play like he wanted to. He was not going to score 81 all the time, but he had a really good kicking split, and no Keeney means, well, somebody's going to have to run around. And I think given that he's had a background as a running guy, as a fullback, as a 5'8", if he adds 20, 30, 40 metres onto that and picks up that running game, that's just better base. When you've got a wing fullback that averages 20 tackles a game and 3, 4, 500 kick metres, and they suddenly have a 35 base before you add literally anything else on, you want that. You want that in your final team. You want it now, especially if they got a good draw. Just makes sense to me. I want him a lot this week. He's my only guy I'm really thinking about. I would love Garrick, but I don't think he's going to be like a top 3, top 4, top 5 wing fullback. Maybe for centre, but that's a later thing, possibly. So yeah, Campbell if you can. If you can't have Haas, or you do already have Haas. Let's look on... Oh no, Fermor. If you still have Lucas and you don't have Haas, get Haas. If you do have Haas and you still do have Lucas, Fermor's not a bad straight swap. He's similar price. I don't think he'll be quite as good as Lucas, but I mean, he's knocked out a 70 and a 61 with a try. You can't really ask for too much more than that. This Roosters side interests me, though. You've got Nat Butcher back, you've got Collins back, and you've still got Wong on the edge. Does that mean he's won that spot? Because he's scoring really well. I think he scored 55 and 53 the last 2 weeks, and he's only like low to mid 400s. That screams a lot of value if he stays in that role. But you got Radley's been playing there a fair bit, and all these other guys starting to come back. When Watson's back properly, I do worry about what's going to happen, because Watson back plus Butcher back and Radley there, they can't all three play lock. Maybe somebody goes into the prop rotation, but in order for Wong to work, somehow they need to not touch the edge, and that seems really big ask for me at the moment. But yeah, Wyatt, how good is he? Hey, it started slightly slow, but at 40, 50, 69, it's roaring off now. So hopefully he's got another week or two of good price rises left before he comes back down to earth. All right, Battle of Brisbane, Dolphins, Broncos. Probably going to be pretty one-sided, but Reece Walsh, watch, because he's now 570k. If you're a SHIB owner, well done. I was not expecting him to hold it over Mariner, but he has. Please don't buy Jesse Arthurs. He's made 100k already. He's scored 5 tries in 3 games. You're not expecting him to average 45 from here. Like, that's crazy. He's not the type of guy that'll do that. Jet Ski, still has Pukura on the bench. And Gilbert played a bit of edge, but now you've got Finifuyaki back and stuff like that. So does it happen? Maybe not. Maybe that's better for him, but just wait and see on Gilbert. How good's Katoa, though? He's trying to lead this team by the scruff of its neck. If it wasn't for all the halves, I'd even think about trying to get him in, but I mean, what can you do? So many other options, so many other problems, so many other positions. Well done if you've managed to pick him up. Pappy's the other wing fullback that's really interesting to me, because Nick Minnie is now out for at least a month, I think, with a busted jaw. That means Pappenhausen will probably kick goals. I think Wishart can also kick, but I'd probably expect Pappenhausen to kick. Anyway, so Pappy with goals is a lot better than Pappy without goals. I think he can do pretty well. However, he doesn't have the base of some of those other fullbacks, so I don't expect him to be a miracle worker. But then again, it was also the Panthers. Nobody had a good base in that game. Four tackles, 117 metres for a fullback isn't terrible. You got 4 errors and a couple of other negatives. All of a sudden, those try assist line break goals and a try, that's a really low score considering all that. But it is the Panthers, so how much do you read into that? Just note, Dragons should probably get a few points put on them, but if you look what happened last year, they played the Dragons and they lost, and he scored 7. So don't think it's an absolutely sure thing, but I don't mind Pappy this week. I think he has the potential to do well. And hopefully bounce back from Munster. Not as many negatives against the non-Storm team. Toby Couchman's the other one. If there was not a Haas or a Campbell to go around, this bloke would be so high on my radar. He's the bloke who's up and coming, is going to be the big minute dude. DeBellin's not getting quite as many minutes. It just smells really, really good. Clemmer comes into the team now, and Dylan Egan onto the bench, and you have Blake Laurie and Faitala Mariner coming out. So I really don't think that much changes for Couchman, and he's going to get 55 to 60 minutes, and he'll score 55 points for you at this stage. That's what it looks like. Unless Little starts playing a lot more minutes, I think Couchman is just a go. Cook played 65 minutes, Little played 30 again for 4 last week. just is really weird to me. But I mean, Damien Cook's getting a little bit older. Little didn't do as well the second game as he did that first game. Couchman's the future. That's probably the way to go. But yeah, depends how many edges you're chasing. You've probably got Nicholson already if you really need an edge. And if you don't need an edge, you're probably chasing Campbell or Pass or something. So if you can fit him in, love him. But yeah, just watch out for that. Okay, so Drinky's now picked up goals, I'm pretty sure, because there's no Duffy. But again, it's the Cows with a pretty tough draw, and Drinkwater's still not scoring that great yet. So wait for him to drop price, probably until... When's their bye, actually? I think after their bye, and after those couple of hard... Yeah, there it is. After these hard teams, maybe buy him in round... either just after the bye, or you buy him in round 14 for the run home. They do have the last game of the year off, though, which is a pain. Okay, Purdue, just watch him, because we have one Zach Laybutt popping into the reserves from injury return now. So what's the price of some of these guys? Because Cotter isn't running and scoring low. Nano's going to drop a lot, but he's inconsistent, so I'd probably want to see low 400s before I'd touch him. But yeah, this Raiders side has no Smithies because of HIA, and I'd say this is probably how they might run for a little while. Horse, Lot, Papa, Tarpanay props, Nicholson edge. When we get Hosking and Smithies back in a full strength, I was discussing earlier today with Jay-Z and Bryce, I think they mentioned it's possibly not unlikely that we see like a Horse and Tarpanay prop. Nicholson goes to edge and Hosking stays lock, and Smithies is bench, because that feels pretty close to their best team. But yeah, maybe we get super duper PPM Hosking at lock instead of edge. But yeah, Tom Starling owners, just be wary. Ricky Stewart loves to play games, and well, 3 weeks in, what a shocker. He didn't play 68 or 70 minutes, he played 53 or something. So yeah, his shelf life may be limited. Okay, Sharkies and Dogs. How good is Iro, though? Like, he's going to be one of those final team guys that you buy at the end of the year, like a Farnworth at this point. I think he's averaging like high 50s or 60 or something insane. So well done to him. Hines had a really good Hines game and still only scored in the 70s, just without that kicking anymore. I think he isn't a 70 guy anymore. I think he's a 60 guy, and you're happy enough with that. T. Wilton kind of chugging along. In this dog side, I'm not really interested in pretty much anybody. Preston's existing. I think he upgraded a little bit. What did Preston end up scoring last week? Not Preston. Okay, that's better than I thought, yeah. So Preston's still going strong with Kickout out. He's definitely guaranteed 80, you'd imagine. So good stuff for Preston. Not too much going on at Sharks. This could be a clean-up. If the Eels can't score against Dogs who are missing players, and they can't score against the Tigers, this could really be a long day for them. They did defend better against the Dogs, but Turbo back, and we saw the Seagulls absolutely really rip into the Raiders, who were a very, very good-looking team prior to that. And I think they're just a team that does that sometimes. They're not always going to be the most consistent team, but when they're on, they will basically beat up pretty much anybody else in the comp. So depends whether they do that to the Eels. Hopefully they can defend a bit better, but yeah, I don't think this is going down as a win. Kautoga is very interesting. He's probably the cash down of the week for me. You've got Owen Paddy getting a few more minutes, but I mean, 30-minute hooker. I don't like going there. Look what happened to Riley Smith. I warned a little bit about that. Probably wait for a third 50-minute game to see, and lo and behold, he played 35 minutes instead, and now it looks a little dodgy because we got Lussick there instead of Hands and a different rotation. So for the Manly side, Ruben Garrick, what a legend. Not a legend for my team in fantasy. In Supercoach, yes. But, yeah. Sunday games, Toa hit a 30, did what he needed to. Luai is dropping a lot of cash. He's not averaging high at all. I think you just sell him at this point for some of these other guys. It's just not really working out. Seyfarth crashed over, finally got his price going. Let's go. On the other hand, the other relevant guy who can play an edge in that team, you shouldn't, and you should probably move on from him. He's not running across and getting those chest slap tackle breaks that he has in past years, unfortunately. James Fisher-Harris, a low-minute game again, weirdly, but still scored over 50, so he's fine for now. Metcalf, if you do still have him, I don't know how to read him anymore, man. I think you just sell him to guys who you are really confident on that role, like that sort of that's a pathway to Haas guy or a pathway to a Campbell guy for me. But yeah, Tamari Martin also scored 125 fantasy points in reserve grade. So yeah, that's a cool little stat. 2 tries and 4 assists or something big like that. And Wade Egan, well done to those who started with him. I think he's averaging about 60, high 50s, something like that. Done very well playing 80 minutes and managed to avoid getting a head knocks. And I nearly forgot him, but how good's this bloke? Okay. Could be a big battle of the forwards. As Jamie said, he's a strong captaincy option. And he'll be an antipod to Haas this week, I'd imagine. So that's about it. There's no RTS. I think he's quite a long time on the sidelines. So just watch out for some of these backline players that might stick around with RTS out. And just watch their price. That'll pretty much do it for these guys. Let's check out my Supercoach team. My dream team didn't go as well this week because I captained Cleary and lost out on 112 points there. But a good week for me. 1198 moved up to top 500, which is pretty much as high as I've been in Supercoach. So very, very happy with that. Watson is my question mark at the moment because Hubner, despite no kick meters in Supercoach, is making money and Sandon's blocking me. I'm very strongly considering going Watson down to Humphreys and then turning do I turn Iongi? No, not Iongi. Do I turn one of these guys straight back into a gun? Do I turn Metcalf into Jaden Campbell? Do I buy Nico Hines instead? Those are all very good questions, and I think they're all very easily funded with the cash that I have left over. But some nice scores all around in my team. VC looped Haas, which is really handy. White got his cash rise is really moving. And I've moved up to 6th in the Podmasters League. I'm making a pod video for the Supercoach Hub coming up shortly, so we'll be starting to get a couple of those out. But yeah, some big scores in here. Well done to Luke, still up in the top 50, doing fantastic. Some really, really strong, very knowledgeable guys in here. So yeah, if you're into your Supercoach, they're really good guys to follow. But that'll about do me this week, everybody. It's just the Haas show, really. Do you get on? Are you already on? Or do you death ride and potentially see if you can avoid the hundreds and maybe you'll only get some 60s and 70s? Because if you can pick up some good players alternative to that, you probably win. But if you keep putting up those monster numbers, well, you're going to be ground into the dirt pretty heavily, like I was when I missed Cleary in 2021 because I wanted to keep my pods, and then he made 250k from where he was priced at. So it's it's the one on everyone's minds this week. If you have Haas, lovely. If you don't, that's what you're probably doing this week. So have a good ponder, because it's a conundrum. There's carnage, there's lots of people out, and there's this bloke. So let that guide your trades this week. Have a good one, everybody.